This episode of the Beauty Industry Podcast was brought to you in collaboration with Liptember. Hello and welcome to the Beauty Industry Podcast, your online support community for the professional beauty industry. I am your host, founding director of Beauty Industry, Tamara Reid. Here we are closing the competitive gap and speaking your language. This is a platform created and dedicated to the professional beauty industry, valuing community over competition. We serve to help connect you with inspiration from industry experts, expand your knowledge through educational pieces, and bring you the latest in product and technology innovation. This is Beauty Industry. Today my guest is Katrina Locandro from Liptember. You may have seen across our social media this month of September and every September for the last 3 years that during this month we encourage conversations about women's mental health, and today is no exception. Liptember is a campaign dedicated to raising funds and awareness for women's mental health, harnessing the true potential of the collective, encouraging and inspiring people to listen, share and learn. Helping start the conversation by popping on a little colour, individuals are encouraged to register online, seek sponsorship and commit to wearing lipstick throughout the month of September. The funds raised are donated to a range of impact partners who deliver carefully selected women's mental health programs, initiatives and support services and research. In our conversation today, I speak with Katrina, the marketing force behind Liptember. Her passion is to make a real difference in the lives of women experiencing mental health challenges and to end the stigma around mental health, which is at the forefront of everything Liptember sets out to achieve. With a passion for women's mental health, along with the global reputation for leading and executing all elements of the marketing mix, Katrina has a deep insight into how to connect with people and create meaningful, authentic relationships with the Liptember community. Katrina is also the proud mum to a little boy and constantly strives to bring the real talk back into focus, encouraging everyone to be part of the conversation when it comes to mental health. A very real, candid and open conversation about mental health, postnatal depression, anxiety and everything in between in today's conversation. Here's Katrina and I for Beauty Industry. Katrina, welcome to the Beauty Industry Podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Thank you. Happy Liptember.
Yes, happy Liptember, everybody. We are well into the start of the month.
Yes, September is my favourite month because not only is it spring, and down here in Melbourne, when the world is not upside down, we have spring racing carnival, we have AFL footy finals, so it's all happening. And then the fact that we get to have really candid, open, honest conversations about women and how we're all actually doing beyond the I'm fine. For me, it's just my favorite month. I'm guessing it's yours as well.
Oh, it's definitely our favorite month. Also a good excuse to pop on a bit of lippy, which is nice. So Liptember is so grateful to have you guys on board as fundraisers year on year. So your community have just been absolutely amazing getting on board with the message of, looking after one's mental health, and especially in the year that we've had this year, it's more important than ever to make sure that we bring it into focus.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just saying to you off mic that, it's so imperative for our industry and that is the beauty and aesthetic industry to really speak about mental health, not only because we're 98% female women in our industry, but also as well because in the treatment room, we are a therapist in the fact that we provide therapy in the form of treatment, but we're also very much an unqualified therapist in the fact that we hear so many stories. And I guess the treatment room is that real safe space to unload and tell all of your secrets and your troubles and all of the things. So, it's really important that we kind of debrief after each treatment and after each day so that we're not walking around carrying somebody else's mental load on us on top of ours.
Oh, yeah, because at the moment, everyone's got enough going on in their own mental load. So, definitely making sure that you're taking that time for yourself as well. Self care is so important. And it's, often as women, it is the kind of first thing that falls off the radar because you're too busy trying to look after other people or your kids or your husband, partner, family. And so sometimes, it is really hard to make sure you fit self care in there, but it is critical with making sure that you're taking care of your mental health. So yeah, I mean, we stand behind making sure that women are definitely, taking care of themselves, but also just trying to end that stigma around talking about, I'm actually not doing okay, and making sure that people feel safe and comfortable to have those conversations, because it's more often than not that you know somebody, or you are one of those people who are affected, in a small way or a very large way with mental illness or challenges with mental health. And I think a lot of people are definitely struggling with it now, maybe more than they ever have before, which is why the work that we're doing at Liptember is so critical, and why we're so excited to get the word out there about what it is that we're doing through the month of September.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, if you can pop on a bit of lipstick to start a conversation, I just think, why the bloody hell would you not? Like, it's such a fun and easy thing to do. I'm sure majority of people put on lipstick every single day. So, to put on something that bit of shade brighter or that bit more vibrant and fun, for somebody to go, hey, you don't normally wear that color lipstick. And then that starts the conversation. It's so very cool.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome. And I think that also using lipstick as the conversation starter for us is, just a way to bring a little bit of fun into something that is sometimes quite a serious conversation, and we're definitely not shying away from that. Mental health is, something that can be a little bit heavy to talk about, but it is really important to still bring light to that, because I think people that are struggling with mental health also want to have some fun in their days. And so popping on some lipstick, even adding some glitter to it, doing something just a little bit different. People do say, oh, why have you got glittery lipstick on today? And you're like, well, actually, I'm raising money for women's mental health for Liptember, and this is why. So it is really powerful. You don't know just how powerful it is until you start having those conversations with people, and you never know who you could help in the process.
Absolutely. So then, for those who haven't heard about Liptember, can you start from the start? What is Liptember? And just give us a little bit of an overview of that.
Yeah, of course. So Liptember is an annual campaign that's dedicated to raising funds and awareness for women's mental health across the country. So each September, the Liptember campaign runs, and we encourage women and men of all walks of life to get online, register as a fundraiser, and seek sponsorship from friends and family to commit to wearing lipstick through the month. So we run in September. We also have like a whole bunch of other avenues of merchandise, and we sell our lipsticks through the Chemist Warehouse stores. And basically all of those come together to raise really critical funds for women's mental health research, support services, programs and initiatives run by a wealth of impact partners that we have across Australia, to deliver those really, really critical programs that are so desperately in need at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And the campaign this year, you guys changed the theme of it every single year. This year, we've got Real Talk. What does that mean?
Yeah, so I guess as a foundation, we're really committed to being as real as possible, and making sure that we're placing that emphasis on real talk this year, which is really important because everybody, especially relying on social media at the moment, everybody sees those really glam Insta pics, and, a lot of what you see on Instagram isn't real life. And we want to normalize that and show the real. So this year we're featuring some real women in our community who have real stories, real lived experience with mental health and illness. And everything we do this year and in previous years has really been around making a real impact for the women of Australia. And so I think when you kind of bring that all together, we're like, what is the key theme here? It's real. So it's about really making sure that everything we do is centered around that. And we want our community to feel completely connected and invested in what is Liptember, which is a relatable, supportive, authentic campaign that really does make a difference in the lives of women across Australia.
Yeah. And, we at Beauty, we've created off the back of yours, Real Talk. We're doing also a Real Talk series. And, it was so raw when I reached out and I asked people, can you just send me 10 seconds? All I want you to say is real talk, and then just give me a sentence, any sentence, whatever you feel. And we've had stuff like, about parenting and motherhood and mental health and disability and, Black Lives Matter stuff and, historical generation, like so much stuff that I kind of thought people would give me a little bit of a surface, real talk, lockdown is hard, something like that. But people have really dug deep and they've been just so vulnerable. And, that is really, it's really special to be able to share that. And I really appreciate that people are coming out, and speaking their truth.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so powerful. Definitely the community that you've got, speaking openly about some of the real issues that they're facing, it could really just inspire someone else to feel comfortable to talk about maybe something that's a little bit deeper than surface level. And, really sparking those conversations and going, yeah, like it's hard, but why is it hard? What are you finding difficult? And actually just prompting a little bit further in a really supportive way. Obviously, if somebody doesn't want to talk about something, that's totally fine. But sometimes most people maybe just need a little bit more of a nudge and just a supportive ear to lean on. And so you can really find that you can get people talking really openly if you start that conversation and talk openly yourself.
Absolutely. My friend Melissa Yu, who is an ambassador for Beyond Blue, and we'll talk about your impact partners just shortly, but she was saying the other day, sometimes you want to do a good job and ask people, are you okay? Mm-hmm. And then, are you prepared enough when they say no? And I think we go, oh, how are you? Are you okay? And we expect automatically that somebody is just going to say, yeah, I'm fine. Things are a bit tough, but it is what it is, and and brush over it. But when somebody actually does turn around and go, do you know what? I'm not okay. This is such a difficult time. It is really important that we have those tools to equip us, so that we can navigate that conversation. And I love that, as you said before, Liptember's putting a little bit of the lightness on what can be such a heavy conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think it's important to share that you don't always have to have all the answers. I don't think anybody does. And unless you're a trained professional, it can be almost a little bit confronting because you want to do your absolute best to help, but you also don't want to say the wrong thing. And I think it's really, really important to empower people to know that it's also okay not to have all the answers and to direct people to, people who do, or say, look, I don't actually know, but I will work with you to find out and we will go on this journey together. I will help you find the right people to talk to. There are so many wonderful organizations out there that are doing really incredible work to support people going through tough times. And as a friend or a family member, it's your job to help these people realize for themselves, if they haven't already, that maybe they do need to reach out. And so it's not your job to solve their issues. It's your job to really just be their friend and let them lean on you where they need to take that first step.
Absolutely. An ear more than a mouth.
Yes, that's true.
So then tell me the story behind Liptember. How and why did it start?
Yeah, so Liptember was founded in 2010, and it was established with a single idea in mind, and that was to urge women to get sponsored to wear bright lipsticks through the month, but really to set to fill a gap that there was at the moment in current landscape of gender-specific support for women. So the Liptember Foundation is specifically focused on women's mental health because women and men are inherently different. And, we both face very different challenges when it comes to mental health. There's especially challenges such as postnatal depression or anxiety and menopausal issues and other women's issues that come to light and affect our mental health that men don't necessarily deal with. So Liptember decided that we wanted to place that gender lens on those specific mental health issues that impact women and people who identify as female. And we really make a concerted effort to direct our funding into those areas. So mental health generally is so important for every gender. It doesn't matter what walk of life you come from, but we are focused specifically on women's mental health. And that's because in the past, majority of research that was done pre-2010 was done on males. And the results of these surveys and tests and research were then just applied to women, and it was this one size fits all approach. And we know that one size fits all doesn't necessarily work, and so we really are trying to do our best to really tailor the programs and services that are offered to women to really increase the chances of these programs hitting the nail on the head and not missing the mark. So I think we need to be able to fully assist the mental health needs of the female population, and Liptember is hoping to do that.
Absolutely. I love that so much. And, even though we don't want to segregate the two genders, it very much is. It needs to be separated, if I can say that. And I'll even use my own experience here. So I have a 6-month-old son, and we had such a traumatic birth. It was absolutely horrendous. And I came out, and about a month after, I had to go to the GP, just, general checkup. And he said, "And how's your mental health?" And I said, "Yeah, not bad. I'm okay. It's all right." And he said, "Oh, well, do you have friends and family around you?" And I said, "Oh, my mum's going to come and visit. And I think my dad's going to come and visit because they were in another state." And he said, "Oh, okay, perfect. That's fine. I'm not even concerned about postnatal depression like this." And I was kind of like, okay. And I thought, all right, that's good. Am I just going to tick the box that no to postnatal depression? And then a week later, I was sitting in my room in the dark with the blackout blinds, trying to settle my baby. He had been screaming for like 5 hours straight, and I was sitting there rocking back and forward, trying to sing him some stupid song so that he would fall asleep, and I just thought, there really is that shift between gender. And I kind of never realized it so much more than in that time that it was kind of just like, okay, like men don't quite get it to that extent, if I can say. Obviously, there is postnatal depression for men as well, but it's such a different circumstance.
Yeah, the thing is, it's just different. That's all it is. It's just exactly. the issues that women face being women are just very different. It's not more important, less important. No. It's a different experience. And a male doesn't necessarily experience things in exactly the same way as we do. And I can totally relate to that feeling of you and your 6-month-old. I went through exactly the same thing with my my little one, who's now 2. And those sleepless nights, the absolute sleep deprivation on top of trying to keep a little human alive and yourself well fed and watered and everything. It's stressful. And I think motherhood, it's definitely one of those things that is the biggest test. And I mean, I personally as well found motherhood being a real test of my character and willpower and all these things. And I wouldn't change it for the world, but it was difficult. And I think everyone goes through some kind of change when that happens to them. And some people are okay, and some people need a little bit of extra help to get them through. And you know what? That is so okay and so normal. And I think that, the programs that we're funding help these women. We've got so many programs that we fund through the Royal Women's Hospital that do programs for women who are suffering from postnatal depression, and in-house programs to help women and their partners with supportive techniques to look after their mental health. So, there is stuff out there. It's just whether or not you know that at the time. That's why the conversations are so important, because you don't even realize. You're like, oh, am I having a bad day, or is this more than just a bad day? I think that's the hard thing to decide. But once you get there and you have those conversations with people, you'll work out whether or not it's one or the other.
Absolutely. And I want to touch base on, you mentioned there the Royal Women's, which is actually how I found out about Liptember in the first place, because in the past I've had cervical cancer. And so I had to go and, have the whole laser treatment. And then I was like, okay, we need support here. Found Liptember and I was like, oh, this is so cool. But talk to me about the impact partners that you guys do the work with.
Yeah, so basically we have a network of impact partners that we work with each year, and those change. So each year we donate the funds that we raise to carefully selected women's mental health programs, initiatives, support services, and research. They're our areas, and there are a range of impact partners that fit there. So the Royal Women's is one of them. We've got at the moment, like from last year, we have the Pretty Foundation, who run a series of body confidence books for young girls, 4 to 6, teaching them about body confidence and making sure that it's a preventative strategy for, body dysmorphia and all the things that mental health impacts that come from that. And the Royal Women's have the postnatal depression and anxiety resources. They also have a newborn organisational program as well, run with professors there. There's also, teenage girls, mental health resilience workshops with, we've got Batia. So they're doing some really great work. We're also funding research with Jean Hales. We support Women's Health Week, which is this week, which is really exciting as well through Jean Hales. So they're just like a range of programs, but really the focus is on the impact that we can make. And for us, what's really important is funding programs and initiatives that are making the biggest impact for women across Australia. And so we also have a grants program. So any organisation year on year can apply for funding if they are running a program for women's mental health or running something that meets all of our selection criteria and making a massive difference. So we want to make sure that we're keeping up with things. We're giving multiple organisations opportunities for funding where we see that we can be making the best impact possible.
Yeah, it's so very cool. And I want to ask you, as I mentioned, a lot of our industry is made up of women, which does include our clients. How can we actually increase our awareness of mental health, and what should we be kind of looking for or saying to encourage that conversation?
Yeah, so I think it's a really good question, because this year especially, and I mean, even the last 18 months has been really challenging for a lot of people in a lot of different ways. And there's been pressures coming from different angles that, you may not have ever experienced before. Isolation being one of them is really hard. And I think, there's two really big ways that we can increase our awareness around mental health. And one is being really understanding of your own mental health and those of the people around you. So when you start with yourself, it's being in tune with your mind and your body. And that is so important, because listening to the physical signs that your body is telling you, like, I'm burnt out, I'm tired, irritable, moody, I'm just unhappy. Those types of physical signs and being aware of those things makes you self-aware enough to take the steps that you need to seek the help that you need. So, doing things like for mental well-being is really important. Self-care activities, mindfulness, meditation, journaling, reading, all those things can be hugely beneficial. But also just chatting to a friend or your GP, your doctor, they're all the kind of things that you can do. But there's also studies that show that mental health is linked to physical health. Getting out and taking a walk, any form of exercise will also give you mental health benefits. So I think the most important thing is that self-awareness. So once you realize and you see that things aren't you're normal, they're not your level of normal, it's trying to go, okay, how can I improve that? How do I action these things? So that's one thing. The second thing is obviously being aware of the people around you. So your loved ones, your friends, starting those simple conversations, asking them how they're going, checking in on them. As we talked about earlier, yeah, sometimes that can be a bit daunting too, because you don't know what to say. But just reaching out and letting them know you're thinking of them. Everyone deals with their mental health and mental load differently. But it's important to recognize that starting the conversation or asking someone how they are, it just might be the catalyst to get them to reach out and ask for help. And I feel like that is worth the risk of maybe feeling a little bit uncomfortable, that you maybe don't know what to say, if you can really help someone. So yeah, they're kind of the tips that I would say to really help bring awareness to mental health, other than donning some bright lipstick and talking about it throughout the month of September.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Checking in on your strong friends, those people who always check in on you, if they've gone a bit quiet, a little, hey, how are you? Thinking of you, hope everything's well. That little tiny check-in can just change somebody's whole day.
Yep, it definitely can.
So then if people are sitting here listening to this going, oh my goodness, what a fantastic initiative. How can I help the campaign? What can they do to help?
Yeah, definitely. So I know Beauté have a fundraising page for Liptember, so you can definitely get on board and donate to the Beauté Industries team fundraising page. But if you want to take it a step further, then register as a fundraiser yourself. Get on board, join the team. Wear some bright lippy through the month and share it on social media. Talk about it with your friends, talk about it with your family, and raise money that way. Otherwise, a little support goes a long way. Just buying an official Liptember lipstick at your Chemist Warehouse, or buying official Liptember merchandise. All those proceeds go back to us. But really, it's about popping on your brightest lippy, starting conversations around mental health, and making sure that the conversation surrounding mental health is an ongoing one, and just continually speaking openly about mental health, helping break down the stigma associated with it and inspire other people to share their real talk.
Absolutely. Katrina, thank you so much for coming and having a chat with me today. It's been so divine. And, I hope this conversation really starts another conversation, or multiple conversations rather, for everybody who's listening about mental health. Thank you.
Yeah, I hope so. It's been so lovely chatting with you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. And hey, if you're sitting there wondering how can you help support more women in being open and honest and vulnerable and to share their real talk moments, then you can go ahead and donate to our Liptember Beauté Industry Foundation page by swiping up in your podcast app. And just any little bit of donation that you can afford would be such a great help. And hey, you can also pop on a bright lipstick and encourage people to have those tough conversations. I'm always considerate of your guys' mental health and always here for you if you absolutely need anything at all. So please do pop in and say hello, and maybe we can just chat it out together in the DMs. And perhaps one day when the world turns right side up, maybe even in person in a coffee. Imagine that. Thank you so much for your ears and time taking to listen to this episode. Until next time, stay connected.